Hello, my name's Judith Kleinman and I teach at the Royal College of Music, and I was a musician. I went to the Guildhall School of Music, and I was very fortunate because I started to have Alexander lessons as part of the course there, and started to get very interested in how the skills that we were being taught in those lessons really underpinned the skills we need as a musician. And those really are how to be calm under pressure, how to be good at concentrating on what you're doing, and how to be really comfortable and confident in performance, I think, and sort of be able to let go of over worrying about mistakes and wrong notes, and really find your flow state in performance. So I got very interested in how that was helping me actually to practice more intelligently and perform more confidently. So I decided to train to be an Alexander teacher, and I'm very fortunately then have taught a lot of musicians and developed sort of alongside the Alexander skills sort of a way of taking it into movement practices and breathing practices. It's very, very useful for lower string players. We really need to notice our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with sitting, and our relationship with the instrument and music. And that really there's so many elements of that are part of how to be aware generally, how to be awake to the space around you, how to be very confident and easy with your breathing and your movement. And sometimes it's just easy to get into patterns with an instrument that's in front of you, of leaning in towards it or lifting up away from it, or actually both cello and bass have a sort of slight spiraling tendency. If we're not able to reverse that and be easy, it can be a bit kind of catching in areas of our back, but particularly for shoulders and neck tension, which then go on often to make us feel a bit anxious and worried. Lucie will talk to us in the first half of the presentation about how to look after your injuries and the common injuries that she sees in her clinical practice. And also she's going to look at factors and triggers that tend to create injury, which I think is really, really interesting. And she's going to show us what has been found and tried and tested, but also scientifically researched, which is so important, about effective management and prevention for injury. So that's going to be fascinating. My presentation will be much more practical, but it's also going to include a little bit of the sort of ethos and philosophy of approaching what we do with a more holistic sense. And the thing I'd like to emphasize is drawing people's attention to spatial awareness. And often, actually, when we're not spatially aware, that's often when we contract into the body a little bit, and these sets and I would say sort of tensions start to interfere with our coordination. So my half of the presentation will be very practical. We'll be doing some looking at how we sit and how we move at the instrument and in relationship to the instrument. And we'll be looking at some breathing work, as well as taking some moments to actually do some moving practice that can be really nice way of breaking up our practice so that we keep flexible and free when we're coming into playing mode. At the end of the presentation, we're definitely going to leave time for questions, and obviously there'll be people with specific questions about their particular needs, as well as what we all have in common, which is how to practice, how to perform, and how to look after ourselves.